Hi and welcome to today's video. My name is Gamu and this is Africana Diary. So today's video is the second in my series on journaling, and today I'll be talking about how you can journal to help you to find your purpose in life. And we will do this by exploring the principle of Ikigai. So without going further, let's start by defining what Ikigai is. So Ikigai is a Japanese concept that means a reason for being. The word refers to having a direction or purpose in life, that which makes one's life worthwhile and towards which an individual takes spontaneous and willing actions, giving them satisfaction and a sense of meaning to life. So if you haven't picked it up already, we will be talking about how to find your purpose or life path in terms of your career or what you will do with your life. I think this is absolutely useful to anyone, but especially young people, teenagers, people who haven't gone to uni yet, or people who are in uni, or people who are done with uni. Okay, honestly, it's useful to anyone. It's just I wish I had seen something like this when I was much younger. So let's jump into this video and explore this a little more. So if you're to Google Ikigai, you will find a chart that looks something like this. And what we will be doing in today's video is basically discuss the different aspects of this chart and how you can use that in journaling to be able to help you to find your Ikigai. So the first thing you want to do is ask yourself 4 questions. The first one being, what do I love? What am I good at? What does the world need? And what can I get paid for? So the point of the Ikigai is finding the point at which these 4 things intersect. So you'll notice that when you draw a pie chart, the smaller sections of the pie chart also intersect. And those areas are representative of different aspects of one's career or career path. And something that I just want to say is some people actually find fulfillment in those sub-intersections, if you will, and not necessarily in the Ikigai. So again, this is not a one-size-fits-all. You've just got to try it out and see what works for you. And I think combining this with journaling and actually thinking through and writing down what you really think is helpful in really helping you to find your path, instead of just sitting down and drawing the chart and then just saying, okay, I've figured it out. You haven't really put much thought into it. And you must also ask the people around you, especially with things like what you're good at and what the world needs. You might have a very narrow vision, maybe based off of lack of exposure. So you should be able to ask people for advice, people who you trust. This is why I think it's so important to have mentors. I will talk about this in another video about the 5 different people you need in your life, but look out for that. It will come soon. Yeah, you should have mentors. You should have people that you ask your parents, ask your siblings, ask your friends. Just ask people and soak up as much wisdom as you can from those around you. So the first intersection is what you're good at and what you can get paid for. And this is your profession. So this is kind of like the typical path that most people take. You go to school, then you go to uni, then you graduate, you get a job, you work 9 to 5, you pay your taxes, you save up for your retirement, you retire, and then you die. And a lot of people find satisfaction in this, are happy in this, everything is fine. But not everyone finds satisfaction in that. And I think it's okay to be honest to yourself if you need to look a little bit further out of just focusing on your 9 to 5, getting paid and, just going through the motions. Like I said, for some people, this is absolutely fine and that's totally okay. I'm not looking down on 9 to 5. I know there's this whole movement, with entrepreneurs being like, we don't like people who have 9 to 5s or whatever, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with being satisfied with that. So if that's your vibe, that's totally okay. The second intersection, well, it's not in any order, but the second intersection would be what the world needs and what you can be paid for. And this is called a vocation. The problem with focusing just on a vocation is that you're operating from a place of, most of the time, a lack of expertise. and then also from a place where there's absolute no interest or passion in what you're doing. You're simply doing it because of the business and the market for whatever you're doing. So I think I've seen a lot of people who start a business simply because they've realized that a lot of people are buying into a specific product, but they're unable to see it through because they're not really interested in what they're selling. So I think it's important, if you're going to start a business or choose a certain career path, to really pay attention to your interests and what will actually, because that is what will keep you going and give you the energy to see it through and to be able to do it to the best of your ability. I guess I'm yet to see people who operate from that point, from just focusing on their vocation and really just finding happiness in that. They might, make a lot of money or whatever, but as we all know, money does not buy happiness. So if you're doing something just because you're gonna get paid lots, you should probably rethink your whole idea of purpose. So of course you have to pay attention to, is this path going to be able to sustain me and to also allow me to be able to enjoy life and have a decent quality of life? And that brings me to the next intersection, which is doing what you love and what the world needs. But oftentimes that comes with you not being able to sustain yourself because you are not getting paid for it. A good example, I think, of a person who operated from this was Mother Teresa. And I think a lot of people find absolute satisfaction in that, and that's totally okay, where you simply give your life up for service and you don't really care about anything else in life as long as you've got food and water type of living. Like, that's great, and I think it's a noble thing. If that is you, then you should pursue that path where you focus on what you love and what the world needs. The last intersection that I want to talk about is passion, which is where you do what you're good at and what you love. So the intersection between what you're good at and what you love is your passion. And sometimes what happens with this is sometimes just pursuing your passion alone will not be sufficient for you to survive, because you may not be able to get paid for that. You might work really hard and you might churn out a lot of work, but if you don't actually have anyone to sell it to, or if it's something that the world doesn't need, then you might want to rethink your path and maybe think of a different aspect to approach it from, a different perspective, so that you can also factor in what the world needs and what you can be paid for. I really hope that you do take the time to really sit down with yourself, be honest with yourself, do research, ask people. Sometimes you may be good at something and not realize that you're good at it. So pay attention to what people tell you as well, and don't box yourself in whatever box that you've been all this time, because I think that's something that I have fallen prey to often, where I just limit myself to certain things because that's what I've been used to, that's what I've been doing all along, so I'm gonna just continue doing that. But you actually need to pay attention to the people around you and to your surroundings, and again, so important, to the way the world is changing. An example I'll give is how everything is becoming digital, and how you'll find that there's still a lot of people who are very skeptical about having online businesses. Pay attention to the way in which the world is changing and the direction that the world is going in, so that it can also help you to see which path to take. And I think this is also very important when you're deciding on a traditional career, because I think with technological advancements, many jobs are going to become null and void at some point, so you have to keep that in mind. Try to see if the industry that you want to go in is something that could be threatened by technological advances. I'll use an example. I was watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, actually, and Charlie's dad, if you've watched or read the book, Charlie's dad was working for a factory, and then the factory closed down, and then he was out of a job, but then he learned how to repair the machines. So now he was back in a job, and it was even a better job than he had before. I know that is such a random example, but that's a good example for me of how a person can take advantage of how the world is changing to see how they can continue to advance and be able to do something that is sustainable and that is going to help them to take care of their obligations. I will finish off by giving examples of people that I think lived or are living from the point of Ikigai. My first example is Maya Angelou. I feel like she really did do what she was good at, what she loved, what the world needed, and she managed to get paid for it. I mean, by the time she died, she was a millionaire, which I am pretty sure was not the point of anything that she did, you know? When she started doing her poetry and being a human rights activist and writing books and all that kind of stuff, I don't think she was thinking, hey, I want to be a millionaire. But because she was operating from a point where all these things were intersecting, she ended up getting there. And I'm not saying that everyone should be ambitious to be a millionaire or whatever, but to just say that you should try to operate or to find a path that is balanced. I feel like a lot of people could try to take the same path that she did and be like, oh, you know, okay, so I'm gonna do poetry too and write books and hopefully, you know, it's gonna work out for me. But if that's not your passion and you're not really good at it and you're not exceptional at it, then rather don't. Again, be honest to yourself, be honest to your abilities and be honest about your abilities and what you're passionate about and pursue that. Don't do something because it's working for someone else. And if you guys have any examples of people that you feel are operating from a point of Ikigai, please do leave them in the comments. I always love to read up on people who are doing incredible things. And yeah, I hope you guys feel inspired to just sit down with a journal and start to figure things out. If you have younger siblings, do share this video with them. I think it will be really helpful for them in figuring out which career path to take and what their reason for being is. I think another issue that comes with choosing a career path often is relying on the people around us to choose for us. I think it's important, of course, to ask for advice and to hear from maybe someone working in the industry or just older people because they know stuff, you know. It's helpful to ask for advice. You have to make the decision based off of these 4 things: what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, and of course, what you can be paid for, because we need money to survive, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about this already. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, do like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and I'll see you guys in my video next week. Bye.